Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. What's going on? Sal here. Welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be breaking down the Pro Bowl, the AFC versus the NFC in the NFL. Wasn't actually going to do this. Didn't think Draftkings was going to do it after they didn't originally announce it. But they announced the Pro Bowl slate. I'm going to take a first look at it. It's a showdown slate, which makes a ton of sense because it's one game. If this is your first time here to the channel, whether you like NBA, MLB, NFL, sports betting, whatever it might be, welcome to the channel. You found the right place. We're going to be breaking down this showdown slate today. I'd appreciate it if at any point during the video you like the video, you think it's helpful, you learned something that you didn't know, or you thought of a strategy now that you weren't thinking of. I'd appreciate it if you could like the video and also consider subscribing. Helps me out a ton. I want to turn this hobby into a career, and the best way to do that is to kind of move up the rankings, let more people see me, and just hope that one right person sees me and kind of reaches out. So thank you for visiting my channel. I appreciate your support. To the continued subscribers, continued viewers, thank you so much. This has been the most fun 4 months of my my life, so it's been a ton of fun. Let's break down this showdown slate, right? So before we get into it, that's Sunday at 3 p.m., AFC versus NFC Pro Bowlers. They were waiting on, I think, Draftkings, just some of the Super Bowl guys to inevitably drop out and see what happened in those NFC Championship games. Alvin Kamara will now be replacing Todd Gurley. All the Rams guys are going to be sitting. All the Patriots guys, of course, or not sitting, but not playing in this because of the Super Bowl. There's also a lot of other guys who made the Pro Bowl that just don't want to play, whether it was a tough loss in the playoffs and they're just kind of sick of it, or maybe it's just something that they don't want to get injured in playing in. Some guys drop out. It's not really the most eventful game or really great thing. There's nothing enticing in it. Yes, they might win more money if they win. That's really the only incentive, but a lot of these guys don't care about that. So, I mean, if we want to talk about strategy, we could look at the highest priced guys here, and they're the highest priced guys for a number of reasons, right? I mean, they're good, right? And a lot of them are young. If I had to think about this, and I was thinking about it right before the video, on how to kind of break down a showdown slate where you don't really have matchups because you don't know all the other guys are good. It's all great players in the Pro Bowl, and they're not all in the field at the same time. They're not all in the field the whole game. Quarterbacks are going to be taking like a quarter each. Same thing with probably running backs, some top D-backs, things like that. So how do you maximize your point potential? Well, if we're talking for cash, I probably want to go and I probably want to target, let's find them. The defenses, the AFC and the NFC, those are always going to be on the field no matter what. And then the kickers. There's only one kicker per team, and those are most likely always going to be on the field. Or at least always be kicking for those attempts, whether it's an extra point, field goal. Now you could say in the Pro Bowl, and I'll have to look back and actually look at these numbers, how many times does the team just go for it, not kick the field goal? How many times do they just go for two, not kick the extra point? That's obviously something to weigh into effect because kickers can't get points otherwise, and it makes a lot of sense since the game doesn't really matter. Outside of just an incentive bonus for 4th and 5s to just go for it in field goal range, to go for all the 2-point conversions, whatever it might be. I'm going to have to go back personally and look at least the past couple of years how many times the scoring happened that way. But that's something to keep in mind. I think that the AFC and the NFC make a ton of sense, the defenses-wise, especially in cash, to kind of just do this. One, I mean, they're cheap. I mean, I'm not going to put them in the captain spot right now, but it makes sense to, I'd say. They're cheap. You get them both in there, and you know they're going to be on the field the whole time. I think that's going to be a standard cash build. You get both defenses. There's going to be a lot of points scored in this game, so you're not really worried about points. You're just more so worried about teams throwing interceptions, potential pick sixes. I think it's pretty easy to get sacks, if I do remember so. You just kind of have to touch the quarterback. You don't really sack him, so it's a little bit easier to do that. Things like that. I don't know actually how the rules have changed with pressure. So if you can't pressure still in the AFC, NFC in this Pro Bowl game, in terms of you can't even get a sack if you just touch them, I don't think you could actually pressure. If that's the case, defense has become a lot worse because then it's just easy to throw the ball, right? You're relying on interceptions and things like that. So it does make this a little tougher. So if the pressuring is allowed in terms of sacks, just having to touch the guy, I don't think that you could pressure anymore now that I actually think about this. Again, this is first look, so my mind's just kind of racing or rattling around some of these ways. So the idea of kickers and defenses on first look, it might actually seem good, but if kickers aren't going to get the opportunities, defenses aren't going to be able to pressure, which produces fantasy points, it's tough. So where do I personally go next? Well, I'm going to go at a couple things. I think quarterbacks make a lot of sense, but there's just so many quarterbacks you have to just think, are they actually going to see the field, right? They're going to see the field for a quarter apiece. You kind of have to hit the bullseye on the head on who's going to score. I kind of like the rushing potential of quarterbacks in that situation. A guy like Patrick Mahomes is obviously great in any situation. Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. You have a lot of quarterbacks here, even Andrew Luck with that rushing upside. Mitch Trubisky, these are basically all quarterbacks with rushing upside. You like that because you figure no pressure, they'll probably get a little loose at least one of these guys should see close to 50 rushing yards based on the fact that they're not going to be pressured all game. If nothing's open up, because there are a lot of good defensive backs in the Pro Bowl, which makes sense, there's very good chance that these guys can just get loose. Dak Prescott, I mean, you have all these guys who just run the ball. So how do you build a lineup in this situation? And then I'd imagine these are the kicker and special teams guys because they're not good. Personally, I target young guys, and a lot of the time in Pro Bowls, it's going to be a lot of younger guys just because their athletic ability just trumps and obviously dominates the regular season. You get these flashy guys like a Patrick Mahomes. You get like a Juju in his first Pro Bowl, things like that, Saquon Barkley. I target young guys. I personally, and I'm surprised that he's priced this high, I'm surprised that he's one of the guys people went after, but I like Juju Smith-Schuster. In his first Pro Bowl, second-year player, young, he's the exact guy personality-wise who would go all off in a Pro Bowl to try and win that MVP. He kind of put out on Twitter that he's pumped to be elected and he can't wait to get out there, wherever it is in Hawaii. Juju's the guy that I could see in the Pro Bowl going for 100 yards, going for a touchdown or two. And right after that is Saquon Barkley. I want these talented freaks that are going to see the ball more so than a quarterback. If we have to throw a quarterback in here, it's going to be me just jamming one in. I want these position players. Wide receiver is the one position that'll stay on the field the most and run the most snaps. How many wide receivers do you get from each side? Is it 4? Let's actually look at this. So you get 2 from the AFC there. Keenan Allen's 3. Jarvis Landry made it. He's definitely a reserve. That's 4. So you get 4 wide receivers on each side. Those guys are going to be in the game. They're going to be rotating the entire time. I mean, you get some of the kickoff returner guys like Andre Roberts. He might see some snaps. But those guys are going to be on the field for the majority of the time. Running backs, if we want to do the exact same thing, you got Kamara, Saquon's 2, Elliott's 3. I believe there's 3 on each side. Tariq's 4, but I think he was special teams, if I'm not mistaken. Lamar Miller, if we look at the AFC. Melvin Gordon. And yeah, so there's 3 on each side. I'm thinking that's what it's looking like. So again, they're going to be guys that are also touching the ball as well. So 3 running backs from each side, I believe. Could be 4. 4 wide receivers from each side. These position players are going to be on the field the most. Also, tight ends are going to be on the field. I kind of want to avoid quarterbacks as my strategy if I'm going to be building a lineup to try and win $50,000. A lot of people might go for defenses and kickers. Like we mentioned, that was something that originally I thought about. But I think the way that the rules are in this game, defenses are going to be pretty tough to play, and so are kickers if there's really no incentive to kind of kick field goals, things like that. You don't really care about winning the game all too much. So I do like Juju. I do like Barkley. Another guy that I'd like to get in here for young and just a guy who really wants to prove a lot is James Conner at $5,000 if he does indeed end up playing in this game. I do like him a ton. And what you can see here is we're rotating. We're getting one of the NFC guys with Saquon. We're getting one of the AFC guys with Conner. I think multiple running backs on one team could go off, but the likelihood of one going a bunch off and you capturing maybe 2 touchdowns with him and going off could mean literally 50 yards and 2 touchdowns because it's going to be split 3 ways. I think Saquon's a great candidate for that, and I also think James Conner's a great candidate for that. Again, a rookie, a second-year player, first Pro Bowls for these guys. Same thing with Juju. They're going to try and go out there and show out. Saquon cap off an incredible rookie year. Conner, the money for Conner actually means something. The incentive of winning this game, it actually means something for guys like him and Juju who weren't selected high like Saquon, aren't making millions of dollars. They're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, James Conner, instead of millions. So this money is actually like an extra year of paycheck for him. So I want to look out for guys like that who have that extra motivational factor. We'll plug Conner in there, and he's pretty cheap, honestly. Who else do we have in here? I love Devontae Adams, but that's just my bias as a Packers fan. Devontae Adams, though, was injured. I'm going to be interested to see if he does play in this game, but he was practicing with some other guys out there, Mike Evans and stuff. They were just having a great time. I do like Adams a lot, actually, in this game. I think he's unguardable. So if we want to think about actually regular season, he's unguardable. He was the only wide receiver with 15-plus points in every single game that he started. Just an absolute freak. I believe every single game. Yeah, every single game that this man started, 15-plus points. Absolute freak. Mr. Consistency. Should be a first-round pick in 12-man drafts probably next year. Don't know if I would do that, but should be. Other spots. Again, Mitch Trubisky. We didn't want to play quarterbacks, but if we have to get one in here, he has the wheels with the upside. He has that second-year, first Pro Bowl itch in him. He's making a ton of money. He doesn't care about the incentive like a guy like James Conner, but it's just the fact that he's young. It's his first experience out there. You could see this guy just throwing the ball around. Zeke Elliott, I'm not too enticed to play, although I do believe that a combo of him and Saquon is very interesting. Let's look at the pricing. Like, why do we think these guys are this high? Tyreek Hill, nobody can defend him, and you know that this guy's going to just blaze out there. I do like Tyreek Hill. Not so much Thielen. Russell Wilson I do like for the NFC. I do think he also has that upside of running. Let's throw Mitch Trubisky in here, and again, there's no reason to like try and stack players or anything like that. I don't think so, at least in this, because they might not be on the field at the same time, especially if you're looking at a quarterback. 2 positions left at 8,300. I mean, we could fit Tyreek in here. He's an absolute stud. And then you're not getting exposure to Mahomes, which is scary because Mahomes should see a decent amount in this game. People want to see Mahomes. I think both of these coaches know that. I think it's the Chargers, Anthony Lynn and them coaching the AFC, and then Jason Garrett and the Cowboys coaching the NFC. You could try and think favoritism in there maybe. Maybe you get a little more Keenan Allen. Maybe you get a little more Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott. I'm not too concerned about it. What do we get down here? So we got wide receivers, and honestly, wide receivers might be the move. Just load up on wide receivers. I like Saquon. I like Connor. These guys are both guys who obviously catch the ball as well as rush the ball. More upside there, more usage. What if we get rid of Trubisky for now? And I do like Trubisky based on the fact that he has that rushing upside. He has that incentive as just like, this is my first Pro Bowl. I want to play well. I'm just like, I feel very excited about being here and honored, honestly. These players should feel. But let's see if we just go more heavy on the running backs, wide receivers, potentially tight ends. I mean, the tight ends in this one, Kittle's a great play. Ebron's a great play. There's only 2 tight ends per each side, so they're going to get a lot of usage. Hooper filling in could be a good play at a very cheap price point. These tight ends are actually very underpriced. Ebron, not sure I really want to touch anything on him. Kittle would be a guy that I actually would target here. So let's put Kittle in there. There's going to be some tough linebackers, though. That's the only thing that worries me about this. But again, do these guys actually care? I don't think they do most of the time. That then allows you to go up. You can get a guy like Devontae Adams. I think Juju's going to be one of the most popular captain spots. So if you did want to try and differentiate yourself in some way, you kind of, if you do want to keep Tyreek in there, you're going to have to see what the starters are as well. So once this gets closer, we'll know about the starters a little bit more. That definitely helps with the wide receivers and the running backs, especially the wide receivers. They'll get a little bit more run. I'm not sure if the starters actually should be out. If not, there should be something about them because the reserves obviously are the guys that are going to come in later on, and a lot of them are taking up roster spots. So I think right now actually only the rosters are out. We'll see what the starters look like. Definitely a situation to capitalize on if there's some starting wide receivers out there because they're probably going to get more run and just more snaps. If we want to get one more guy in here and you want to differentiate yourself, Mike Evans is definitely an underdog all year long. He had a surprisingly sneaky good season in terms of yards, in terms of just 100-yard games, receptions, catch rate. Nobody's going to want to play Mike Evans just because he's not as flashy as some of these other guys in here. Mike Evans is a good way. If you're going to build a lineup like this, you guys know me. In terms of captain spot, I love leaving salary on the table in these tournament-type slates. So if you want to build sort of a tournament lineup, you can go with the Chargers or coaching the AFC team, wide receiver Keenan Allen in there in the slot, maybe a little bit better situation against some of these cornerbacks. All the cornerbacks are going to be good, but usually the outside cornerbacks are the ones that are the most shut down if they're actually going to try. Keenan Allen in the slot, playing for his coach. Maybe you get something there. Should see a lot of low A-dot targets. Guys who are playing with their quarterbacks in terms of quarterback wide receiver matchups, that's where you got a guy like Tyreek Hill. So that's definitely an interesting spot. He should look his way a little bit more. He has that great connection. So that's why maybe you want a guy like that in the lineup. Other than that, I mean, who else do we have? Is Hopkins? I don't think Hopkins is going to end up playing in this, no. Russell Wilson doesn't have anybody in there for his quarterback position. We already touched on Mahomes. Andrew Luck doesn't have anybody in there. Trubisky doesn't have anybody in there. Dak doesn't. If you want to count Zeke, maybe, but I'm not going to count that. So, yeah, I think that it's smart to get Tyreek Hill in the lineup. The price indicates that. We got the 2 highest priced guys in terms of Juju and Hill, and I think it makes sense that wide receivers are up there because they're going to be on the field for the most consistent or the most snaps. So this is just the way that I'm approaching it. I think that early on, and you might be thinking that kickers and defenses are smart, especially for cash, but I'd prompt you on that because I don't think the defenses can pressure anymore due to the rules, which no pressure means there's really no pick six potential, no sack fumble return at all potential. Completely eliminates that. Kickers are a smart option, especially because these guys got legs on them, and they're actually decent kickers if they're in the Pro Bowl. But I don't know how many times you're going to get some kickers getting attempts in these types of games. So with that being said, I think it's smart to go with the younger guys, the guys who potentially have incentives to actually want to win the game and win those few $100,000, $300,000, $400,000, whatever it is. Guy like James Conner, that's literally his year salary doubled. That's life-changing money for him at this point. Same with some of these other guys in here that weren't high first-round picks. Want to stick to the younger side of it. That's why we got guys like Connor, Barkley, Juju, Tyreek, even Kittle, Allen to an extent. Allen's definitely up there in age. So again, if you did want to switch something out, you could go for Devontae Adams, right? You could go for Kamara. I think targeting more wide receivers is smart. Kittle acts as a wide receiver. Our running backs in this type of lineup are Barkley and Connor, who do act as #1 wide receivers, honestly, when they're in there. Definitely Saquon and also Connor to an extent. So that's just, let me make sure this mic's on. I forget sometimes. That's just a first look at this AFC NFC tournament. 50 grand on the line. It's a fun little tournament to play. It's probably more of a crapshoot because you're gambling, but there is an interest, or well, you're always gambling, but you're gambling because you don't even know who's going to be on the field the majority of the snaps. If you do avoid the quarterbacks, I think you have better upside in not kind of just getting a guy who runs for 2 drives and he gets 50 yards, no touchdowns, then your lineups are all dead. I think getting the guys who are going to be on the field the majority, if not all the game, is the smartest way to go about that. Tight ends, running backs, wide receivers is the way to do it. More so the pass catchers, the wide receivers, and tight ends. I think that's a good strategy to approach. Again, leave money on the table to differentiate yourselves in bigger lineups. In cash game, I think just going all wide receivers is a very smart option. I think even in tournaments it could be. So that's the video, guys. I appreciate it. I saw that this slate was out, and I figured why not do a quick little video on it. Whoever sees this, if you're still watching, and you probably might be, it's only 16 minutes, I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it if you can hit that like button for this video, and if you could also subscribe. At this point, if this video, you liked it at all, please hit the subscribe button. I know that everybody says subscribe, but it does really help me out, especially when I'm trying to turn this little hobby I have going on here into a career. So thank you so much, guys. Best of luck. Have fun with this AFC, NFC. More videos to come for the Super Bowl in terms of that Showdown $1 million slate, in terms of sports betting stuff, props, all fun stuff. So stay tuned. My name is Sal. Best of luck, everybody. Peace.